process. It was thrust upon the neighbors, and it got out of hand. And I have to congratulate again the ad hoc committee, some people down there with their dogs, you know, for trying to make an effort to make it acceptable and palatable to the neighborhood. But too much damage was done, and again, the impact on the neighborhood, and as Joe said, the quality of life in the neighborhood has been significantly adversely impacted to their way of thinking. Many of those residents, like the Roberts and other people who've been there for a number of years, saw that as an old dump. They've also seen it evolve when my kids were younger, play soccer down there. But those were limited time frames, and you know, the noise of kids playing is far different than dogs barking. And the joy that brings to people's ears is not the same reaction you get when you have dogs barking and having their playtime down there. So I never saw the compromise being worked out. And I thought the board sent a pretty clear message months ago. First of all, when it came to town meeting, and we supported the article to close it, and then agreed to give it to the ad hoc committee to work out. That was the first real sign from the board of, it's not going to work, try and find another location. And then a few months ago, again, I thought we sent a pretty clear message. I haven't heard anything that's going to change my mind in relation to whether or not the dog park should be there or not. And I'm going to be voting in favor of the motion to close. I feel it's unfortunate because there is a need in the community. There are a lot of people who get an awful lot of pleasure out of bringing their dogs down there and recreating and socializing with the other dog owners and the other dogs. But the impact on the quality of life of people in England, it's not worth the sacrifice to those people who are the property owners, who are the direct buyers, who are property taxpaying people, not to have to suffer with that type of interference to the quality of life. So I'll be voting in favor of the motion.
This has been far too many hours spent when we consider from a board point of view some of the real budget issues that we have before us. But in fairness, I think that the recreation committee and the neighbors have legitimate concerns. The recreation committee is trying to provide a balanced program across the town that fits everybody. I think the message the board tried to get across, and I'll take some responsibility for maybe not getting that message across, was this was not an appropriate location for a dog park. Find another site. I don't think anyone on the board here that I am aware of, at least, is against a dog park. It's the issue of location. And it may be difficult to find a location, it may be more costly, and maybe we need to bring that to the public forum. Maybe that's got to be an article at town meeting or something. But this is not the proper place for a dog park, and I will be supporting the motion too.
Mr. Chairman, just as an aside, and I know recreation far better than any other group or organization knows better than most that when there is an advocacy group out there, supporting some sort of a program that's near and dear to their heart, they'll do it. They'll find the funds to do it. You look at the skate park people. I mean, they raised thousands of dollars to get a skate park to assist recreation in funding those sorts of things. There really is that much support out there. And if we do have an appropriate site or a more appropriate site that can be palatable and acceptable to the community, then by all means go out and raise the money and assist recreation in doing it. You're not going to get any discouragement from this board, I don't think, to doing it, so long as the site is appropriate. And again, I don't like sticking my nose as a member of the board into other boards, committees, and commissions' business, because recreation fields have been doing a terrific job. They do a wonderful job. In this particular case, we tried to send a clear message. You're doing what you think is in the best interest of the programs and the community as a whole, and that's fine. I respect that. And when ultimately back here, we have a decision to make.
Yes, I just want to make one final comment, and that is, one of the things that we get concerned about here is that people who worked hard at this get discouraged or angry or whatever. And you certainly get a right to be all those things, but I would say it's certainly not, and I know this group, it's certainly not that we don't respect what you've done, okay, and respect the hard work. And I think we have given you a lot of time to be able to do that out of respect for what rec has accomplished in this town. So, the message is that we don't want to discourage you. We don't want, but a call needs to be made, okay? There's two parties that disagree, and a call needs to be made, and that's what we've done. So I congratulate the rec on your hard work. I apologize that it didn't go, or at least in my vote, it's not gonna go your way, but it's certainly not a lack of respect for you. I think, as I say, it's the greater good of the community that's gotta be considered here.
I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're going to take a short 5-minute break.
Question on.
Yes, sir.
I just need to make sure we understand as a committee, who now takes possession of that park. I assume from the vote that we lose any control over that park now, and that falls under the Board of Selectmen.
Mr. Chair. Yes. I don't necessarily agree with you. Okay, and again, I was hearing some veiled comments in relation to, you know, nothing's gonna be done there now, we're not gonna take care of it, we're not gonna use it, we're not gonna maintain it, we're not gonna do anything.
Well, that's, the part, this committee is not going to do anything, and you just took it away from us.
No, we didn't take it
No,
away,
we're supposed to
we limited the use of what could be put there and what could be utilized there. We did not take it away, and that was not my intention, and I personally would take great exception to the fact if that particular park, you know, falls into a greater state of disrepair.
Well, that's at least, I have to leave that up to you. It is your park. You need to do what you need to do with that park.
Well, again,
This committee, you have now taken it away from us. The jurisdiction now falls on you. It is not on us.
Well, I think,
So,
I want to
make sure we're
correct
clear on
your thinking, okay? First of all, the town administrator reports to the Board of Selectmen. The Recreation Department reports to the town administrator.
Okay?
It'll be his responsibility to assure we don't have a grass field that's overrun.
I'm sure he'll work it out. Thank you.
Speaking on this, what should happen here, we voted to remove it as a dog park. Okay, I don't know what we're reading on the motion, but what should happen here is the front fence should be totally removed. All right, and that'll preclude it from being used as a dog park even after we vote. Now, the fact that we said it's not a dog
Yeah,
park isn't sufficient. So we should, I don't know whether we should have a motion or we just indicate to the town administrator that the front fence be removed.
well, again, there may be other reasons for keeping the fence there, whether it be keeping balls in the field, the kids are gonna be playing there, and all the rest. I mean, over the years, when my kids were playing there, you know, the parking was an issue, but
There wasn't a fence there when our kids played there, there was not a fence.
Okay. We'll get that resolved.
yeah, I think that can be administratively handled.
Good evening, board members.
Go call.
Well, just close the door. He's up trying to get votes.
He's up next year.
Yeah, right, he's up.
Must have all taken silly pills tonight. Town administrator's report.
Yes, good evening again. Need to refer to the handout that was in your packet this evening. Several items. The first of which is a follow-up from one of your earlier meetings, I believe it was earlier this month, concerning disposition of town property. As you recall from that discussion, there were a total of 6 land parcels that were identified as private property interests being interested in acquiring, and a notice has been prepared, which, if you approve, will be distributed to town boards and committees and abutters. It will be notifying them that this matter will be scheduled on the agenda for August 6th, at which time the Board of Selectmen can make a decision as to dispose of these properties through sale. As you know, a number of individuals have already reported to the board that they are interested in acquiring these parcels. And you'll also recall from the meeting that took place a couple more weeks ago that several boards and committees also had indicated an interest in maintaining these parcels as town property. The appropriate step at this point would be to convene a meeting and bring all interests together, and then at that meeting decide what the fate of these properties will be. And these were the ones specifically that were discussed.
Do you need a motion from us?
I think a consensus, but I just want to know if that's an item that you'd like to see scheduled on your agenda for the 6th. And again, the properties are all in one submitted.
We're gonna be discussing capital too, right?
We are going to discuss capital in a second.
And we're gonna be discussing, we have a joint meeting with the school committee. We'll do that first.
That's here.
What?
Is that here?
That's here. Then they're gonna leave to meet with the school building committee, I think. The secondary school building.
It's on the sixth.
That's on the 6th, and the issue there is, did you get?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I responded.
Okay, so you know,
Responded. Yeah.
Phil,
Yeah, 6th is okay.
so it's related to prioritizing the applications that went into, what's the old school building assistance, whatever it's called now. Okay?
Prioritize.
So, we've got a busy agenda. I have no problem with that being on there, but keep in mind we'll be meeting with the school committee first.
Yes, so
Mr. Chair, would it be possible to start that meeting early if everybody could? Could anybody?
I don't have a problem.
I could make it early, I don't know about the rest of the board. 6:30? That's early. 6:30? 6? 6 would be better if we could. But I don't know how you
Yeah, because
guys.
the joint discussion.
The
could go
joint
on for a
meeting will be
while.
at 7, what?
The joint discussion might go on for a while. Between the boards, the school committee.
Good.
Could everybody make 6?
I'm okay with that.
Now, the joint meeting, is there any type of public hearing type process, or is it just a joint meeting?
It's just a joint meeting, I don't think it's a public hearing.
As far as,
But it's open.
I understand.
Yeah.
That was one of what I did that time last year, I thought it was fun.
Well, 6:30 is
6:30, I think.
Either one, whatever you want.
That's all right.
6:30?
Here?
Yes, here.
I asked that question every time, didn't
I think I have to.
Steve
see you
asked
around.
it first.
We'll see you at
He wanted to
29.
have the meeting on our territory.
10 of 7s.
It turns out that.
I could walk to the other one, price of gas.
I? Yeah, exactly. We could skip there. So was it 6 or 6:30?
So we'll put,
6:30,
so we'll put the town-owned land for on for the 6th.
yes. I just wanted to let everybody know that we might have a busy
The
agenda.
6:30 discussion, think all right?
Well, I'm assuming the school committee's gonna meet with us at 7.
Right.
So you work that out with Dr. Troutman, and then from there, we'll put items on that, you know, we can complete in the timeframe before we meet jointly with the school committee. And then we'll pick up the balance that was left on the agenda after that discussion.
If we're going to be discussing the sale of this parcels, there needs to be adequate description and notification to the residents. I mean, this one in particular, which is 4,600 square feet, off North Street,
Right.
doesn't do much for people as far as indicating exactly where it is. And what it is it's off of Berridge Way, and it butts Pomeroy Road. You know, so that the people in that area need to be made aware somehow that that's the parcel that's gonna be up for discussion. As I indicated before, it had come before the board a few years ago, and the board opted to hold off.
So are you suggesting we provide notice
I
and call it
think
a public hearing?
No, but I think we should, at least, some of the direct abutters there should be notified
Mail them notice.
that this particular parcel, but the other ones are not of such consequence or effect. I mean, the Oakhurst Terrace ones,
I would opt to be consistent, though. If we're going to notify the abutters, we should notify all.
All of us.
well, if that's the case, then, then use the same parameters as you would for a public hearing before the Board of Appeals or Conservation Commission or any other board, which is like
Is that
300
something
feet.
that we could do in
I
the
think it's
timeframe?
300 feet to notify, and the assessors generally churn out those lists.
How about just a bit of description where this property is?
I don't know, I just, sure maybe you can verify
Well,
this,
so-
over the years,
I just don't
there have
think-
been surprises when people found out that a piece of town-owned land was sold and it was across the street from the one next door.